All right, franchise. Here we are, episode 4 of the 4th season of the Let's Be Frank podcast. I am Frank Lopez, as always. No Frank Martinez this week. He'll be back next week, so you can expect that. But hey, we're back. I'm back to talk about some baseball here. So, thanks for tuning in. A few things to get to from a contract perspective, roster perspective, and whatnot, and then some other stuff. So, I think the first thing that I have to get to is the Justin Turner deal. 2-year deal with the third-year option, about $16-17 million a year, something like that. I think that's right in the wheelhouse of what we should pay him, to be 100% honest. There were reports out there he was looking for that 3rd or 4th year deal. I think those reports are true, right? I think he would have strongly considered it from another team. If he can guarantee himself a longer career there, he had every right to do it. And listening to Andrew Friedman's press conference, he expressed that he earned his right to be a free agent and really just explore everything that was out there. So, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, look, he wanted to be a Dodger, and the Dodgers wanted him to be a Dodger as well. So there's really no if, ands, or buts. Like, he's meant to be on this team. And the team is just different. It's got a different heartbeat if Justin Turner's not on it. So, look, I'm hyped, right? I think Dodger Nation's hyped. Now we can really get this thing going, right? So, with Justin Turner there, I mean, that locks in third base. I know the DH situation was going to kind of make it a little more complicated, right? Whether or not he would have filled that role and you needed to get a third baseman, or vice versa. Throw him in at third base and find yourself a DH, or just use what was, use what we had in house, I guess. But I guess not having the DH made it a little bit less urgent because it's one less hole to fill on the roster, I guess. But once you saw guys like Marcell Ozuna get off the market, and a few other guys, I mean, at that point, it's like, everything was kind of just pointing to JT coming back. So, was never really worried about it, to be 100% honest. For me, it was like the only option that I would have been okay with JT not coming back is if you get an upgrade. Right, so once Nolan Arenado got traded to the Cardinals, which I know we didn't really talk much about, at that point, I mean, you kind of are out of third base options because it didn't look like Matt Chapman was a real possibility there. So, Justin Turner's a Dodger, man. And look, I'm happy about it, right? I think everybody is. It's one of those things that makes sense. And it's crazy that the guy that didn't start his career as a Dodger kind of just embodies that uniform, right? He fills it in so well. Like it just, that October feeling we get, with the bright whites, right? With the bright white uniforms, with the blue Dodgers across the chest and Justin Turner's red hair peeking out of that helmet. It just feels right, man. Just feels right. And I just wouldn't have been okay with him not being a Dodger had we not gotten an upgrade. So, with Justin Turner back, look, let's just get this show on the road, man. It's time to repeat, time to run it back. And Dodgers are poised to do it. We're poised to do it, and I'm super, super excited. I mean, look, other teams are trying to make a run at it, trying to make an honest attempt at it. One of those teams being the San Diego Padres, right? Lots of roster upgrades for them, and kudos to them. I mean, kudos to them for trying to go for it, right? For trying to make themselves competitive in the same division as the most competitive team in the league. So what they have to do is, lock up their young guys, right? By young guys, I mean Fernando Tatis Jr. With Fernando Tatis Jr. Having the breakout season that he did last year and the last couple of years, injury aside, he's arguably the most exciting talent in the game. Right? I'm not saying he's the best player, the best player in the game, whatever, but I mean, it's pretty undeniable. Must watch TV. When the Dodgers are playing the Padres, like, I make sure I'm watching his at-bats, When the Dodgers played them in the playoffs, that's the one guy that comes up and you're like, shit. Literally, anything can happen, right? You can't say that about every player. You can't say that about, Freddie Freeman. Love the guy, but he's not going to hit an inside the park home run, He's not going to walk and steal his way around the bases. Like, certain things won't happen. But with a guy like Tatis, I mean, it's must-watch TV. And yeah, it's fun to poke fun at the Padres or whatever. But look, they locked him up 14 years. What is it? $340 million. So the longest deal of all time, right? 14 years. Would I have been okay if the Dodgers gave that type of money to a guy like Fernando Tatis? I would have had my concerns, 100%. But for a team like the Padres, I think it makes all the sense in the world. You have to keep him. Arguably the most talented guy, I'm willing to say he is, to ever come through your organization. Rest in peace, Tony Gwynn, But I think he was known more for making it work with the tools he didn't have, And Tatis has every single tool in his pocket. So they had to do it, So the AAV on that is about $24 to $25 million a year. Average annual value. Now look, remember last week when we were talking about the Trevor Bauer deal? Talking about the deals that, the Dodgers should be giving out to players, right? The deal they offered Trevor Bauer, the deal they offered Bryce Harper that he turned down for more years, the deal that they kind of offered Clayton Kershaw the second time around, right? That 3-year whatever deal. Sorry if you hear my dog barking. She's having a good time here. Those are the deals the Dodgers should give to players, right? But the one caveat that I gave last week was the only time you give another type of deal, those long-term deals, is if it's a generational talent, right? Those 10, 11, 12-year deals. Even 8-year deals maybe for a pitcher, 7, 8-year deals. Those are the deals you give for generational talent, right? Those once-in-a-lifetime type of guys that come through your organization. And look, some guys that get that money, and I'll be honest, they're not those types of talents. Great players, right? Productive, right? Consistent numbers, at least up until that point. But I'm sorry. Robinson Cano's not that guy. Not for me, right? Now look, do you give Albert Pujols that deal when he's 25 years old? You better believe it. Do you give it to him when he's 32 years old? Not so much, right? Mookie Betts is that guy. He just got ranked the number 2 player in baseball behind probably the best player we'll ever end up seeing, Mike Trout. That's a generational talent. That's a once-in-a-lifetime talent that runs through your organization. So, now the Padres had to make a decision and say, okay, is this guy that guy? And in my opinion, if you're the Padres, look, you're not the Dodgers, you're not the Yankees. You aren't, at this point in history you are, but year after year after year, you're not that team that everybody just assumes is going to be in on every free agent, right? Because you're not necessarily a destination. As beautiful as San Diego is, as beautiful as that ballpark is, not necessarily a destination. So, not that can't change in the future, but you get a guy that good, you got to keep him, right? So this deal can go one of two ways. I mean, look, it could be a steal, right? A $24 to $25 million a year for a guy that with that type of talent could be a steal, right? Because look what the Dodgers just paid Trevor Bauer. You know what I mean? And from an AAV perspective, it could work out. And I think he's, 21, 22 years old at the moment. So I think he's going to be, 30, 34, 35. 34, 35 years old when that deal's done. So exiting the prime of his career, look, if no injuries happen. Gigi, come here. Gigi. Ben, come here. Meet the franchise. Come here. She'll come over here right now. All right, sorry, had to get Chi Chi back in here. For those of you on the video version, the newest member to my family, her name's Chi Chi. Look at her. What do you got? Something to say? The audio version got a little bit of love there too. So, if you hear a little running behind, that's what it's going to be. But anyways, get back to Tatis. Look, so he's going to be exiting the prime of his career at 34, 35. Now, I mean, even that's up for debate. You know, if you ask me, I think a prime of a player's career, I think is 25 to 30 now. 25 to 30. Just because of, you know, this development, it's a little more advanced now. And also players are maxing out their bodies at a younger age, right? The prime used to be considered like 27 to 32. So I'd scale that back a couple years, right? Corey Seager is 26 right now, and look at the season he just had. So, or I think it might be 27, but regardless, he's going to be exiting the prime of his career. Is he still going to be a shortstop? Who the hell knows, right? Could be an outfielder. Could be a third baseman. I don't know. But look, I mean, if you're the San Diego Padres, you pull the damn trigger with that one because you have a chance to keep that guy a Padre for life. I mean, you do it. To my knowledge, there's no trade clauses in there. So, look, kudos to them. Kudos to San Diego Padres. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. Think about for the next, at least, 12 years, you're going to get Mookie versus Fernando Tatis. Must-see TV. Arguably 2 of the 3, 4 most exciting players in baseball. Right? And it's all in Southern California. And guess what? The most exciting player in baseball is also Southern California. So it's a nice thing just to have in our division, right? So kudos to them. They're going for it, and they know they had to keep their guy. Now I don't know if they're going to be suffering from the Angel syndrome there, where it seems like every time the Dodgers, for a while, they haven't done it in a while now because I think they learned their lesson. But it seems like every time the Dodgers would make some type of splash, the Angels felt like they had to retaliate for some reason, even though the Dodgers' success had nothing to really do with the Angels' success, being that they play in 2 different leagues. But yeah, hopefully the Padres aren't doing that for themselves, you know. So we'll see. Now that said, I mean, look, Dodgers versus Padres this season is going to be a nice little, not ready to call it a rivalry yet, right? But it's going to be a nice matchup, right? You're going to get some good pitching matchups, right? You're going to get Buehler, Kershaw, Bauer over there against, we'll see how Lamette's doing, but you're for sure going to get Darvish in there and Blake Snell, and, you know, it's going to be a good time, and I'm excited for it, but enough about the Padres, right? Let's get to our guys. I wanted to talk about one guy, and I talked about him a little bit on Twitter, but look, I'm going to need more out of Joe Kelly this season. Right? I'm not even going to make a corny segment out of it or anything. I'm going to need more out of him, right? We're paying about $8 million a year for 3 years. This is the last year on his 3-year deal. The upside that our bullpen has is just about as high as any other team, right? With some of the talent that we brought in. Right? Guys like Jimmy Nelson, Corey Knebel. Is that how you say it? Corey Knebel. Obviously, we brought back training. We brought back... obviously, Kenley's back. Brandon Morrow's the non-roster invitee to spring training. You know, we don't know what that's going to turn into, but there is upside there. But there's questions as well, right? The reason I say upside and not a sure thing is because of that. So, got guys coming off injuries, you know, guys that had injuries a few years ago, even the last year that had good years. You know, you just don't know. Bullpens are so fickle, you know, but that we have a guy in there with some of the most undeniable stuff in Joe Kelly. And we really just signed him based off of what he did to us in 2018 in the postseason. just an uncharacteristically not great move by Andrew Friedman. I mean, look, I'll cut him some slack on it because he's done a couple other great things, but I mean, that's it. I'm just gonna need a little bit more from him, And here's the thing, man. I know, and I threw it out online, and people were responding and saying, "Oh, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good." Look, I'm capable of reading a Fangraphs page and realizing someone's been really good, or pretty good, or really good, right? And yeah, Joe Kelly's been pretty good, right? Last year, not so much, but overall, the body work's been okay. Yeah, he closed out an NLDS game this year, or whatever, right? I don't need pretty good with that type of stuff, right? I get it. We can make numbers work. But I'm not really going to credit Joe Kelly for that. I'm actually going to credit Dave Roberts in the front office or whoever has a hand in just putting a guy into positions where he's going to succeed. Because we pretty much tried to force the issue with him for the first half of 2019. And he kind of turned it around in the second half of that season, if you remember correctly. Did okay. But that wasn't until we kind of took him out of that really, really high leverage spot. And then after that, he did okay, right? But since then, Doc hasn't really committed to him as being one of those high leverage guys, right? It seems like every time they put him in, it's either we're up by a few, we're down by a few, or we kind of just used everybody. Because Lord knows Dave Roberts likes to just coach for manage for a 9-inning game and nothing more. I'm going to need more out of Joe Kelly just for that reason. Just the stuff, the money, all of that. And just, as much upside as there is for this bullpen, I just don't think, I don't think we can call it a sure thing. Right? And here's a guy who's been pretty healthy. The stuff is there. It's pretty undeniable. And he just hasn't given us what we've hoped for. I know he's giving a lot of you some fun content and whatnot, but I'm not, I'm past that. Okay, yeah, he did a little face at Carlos Correa. Did I like it at the time? Sure. It was fun. It was a good time, but we're champions now. It's time to run it back. Right? I'm not interested in him being that guy, right? Be a guy. So, let me know what you think about Joe Kelly. I mean, it's one of those things where, not every guy's going to pan out, right? And even the trajectory of his career, he's been an up and down type of guy. But just hone it in, guy. Hone it in, my man. It's not I don't know. I mean, I get it. You're on a team that's expected to win a World Series or whatever. So, it's a little more pressure or whatever. A little less room for error. But that said, I kind of hope that they, maybe not as long as they let it happen last time, but I kind of hope that they kind of do force the issue a little bit with him this year. Right? Try to get him back into that zone because I mean, look, that fastball and that curveball combination is just, it's nasty. So, I don't want pretty good. I need him to be a dude in our rotation. Look, pitchers and catchers reported. A lot of guys like to go, I guess, before that. A lot of position players. Dodgers have been known for that, right? Guys showing up when pitchers and catchers report, everybody shows up, which is cool. Looks like Camelback Ranch is going to allow like 2,500 fans per game. Stay safe out there if you're going. Kind of cool, I guess. And the word is that they're really going to try to get fans in at opening day. So some of us are going to have to ball out because I already said I'm going to be at that first game that they let fans back in. Because I'll be damned if I'm not going to see them raise that banner or get their rings or whatever they choose to do when there's finally fans in the stadium. So I've got to be there for that. So hopefully I see some of you guys. You know, got to see Bauer in a Dodger uniform as well. You know, you like to see the new guys play. Got to see Mookie in a freaking uniform. We haven't seen that in person. With my own eyes, I haven't seen it. But yeah, you guys see that Trevor Bauer, Noah Syndergaard beef that was happening on Twitter. Now look, I'll be honest. I think Thor kind of had like the upper hand in that. I think he did a little better with that. But hey, Dodgers Digest. Root for our guy one time, right? Don't be that publication, right? That's just gonna target one guy the whole time. And no. We're better than that. I think as a fan base, right? I think, I don't know. Screw that. We're not. But, you know, they posted something. It was Chad Moriyama posted something saying that Mets 3, Dodgers 0. From that, you know, little back and forth that him and Thor had. Right, but hey, who's gonna know more about taking L's than Dodgers Digest, huh? I don't know, especially online. So, yeah. So I know a lot of Dodger fans are still coming to terms with the fact that Trevor. We got into it a lot last week, so I'm not gonna get too much into it again this week. But a lot of Dodger fans are still having to come to terms with the fact that there's a guy on the team that they just do not like. But guys, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Right? That's like getting mad that McDonald's serves salads. Right? They're there. Right? You know, you go to McDonald's, you're going to get a mixed bag of, you know, different stuff, but you don't go. You know why you're going to McDonald's, because the food's delicious. You know why you watch the Dodgers, because it's fun. You watch baseball because it's fun. Right? And if you're going to McDonald's to order a salad, you're just trying to fool yourselves. Right? And Trevor Bauer is the salad of the Dodgers. So don't fool yourself, man. Teams are a mixed bag, so I don't know. Hopefully I understood the analogy. Look, I know we didn't do a mailbag this week. I got a little late in the week, so I didn't send out the tweet there. But we did want to put something out. So you can expect something next week with the both of us. We'll probably put out a mailbag tweet at that point. So as for this week, I mean, I think that's going to be it. I'm glad you guys got to meet Chi-Chi. Glad you guys got to meet Chi-Chi. Yeah, I'm glad I got to speak to you guys. So thanks for being with us again. Don't forget, if you're listening to this audio, we are on YouTube now, right? The link is in our Instagram and our Twitter. It's everywhere. So at Let's Be Frank Pod on all fronts. And I just secured the at Let's Be Frank Pod TikTok a few moments ago. So don't know what we're going to do with that. No idea. But you know, I'm not 17, so I don't know how to work that system as well as I know how to work Twitter and get reactions on that. So I might have to get consulted by some of y'all. But hey, yeah, follow at Let's Be Frank Pod on TikTok as well. I'm assuming we're going to use it for clips and whatnot now that we're doing video. Also, we're seeing that a lot of accounts are starting to get sniped for like, you know, unoriginal music, right? With music that they use. And I know that we kind of do it on the podcast here, the intros, the outros, all that type of stuff. And I think it's just a matter of time before they kind of move over to the podcast side of things and really start to crack down on just people using music that's copywritten, you know. And then I get it, man. You know, if people were using our content out there and somehow not, you know, crediting us or whatever, you know, that could be a situation. So, you know, respect to those artists. And, but what I'm trying to get to is, hey, I think at some point we're going to have to try to make some type of original track. So Frank and I know a couple people that can probably help us with that. But hey, if we can get someone from the franchise that knows how to do that type of thing, reach out, man. DM us or message us or slap it on the timeline so that we can see it, and that way we can come up with some type of track to get us into these episodes and to get us out of them. So yeah, cool. That's gonna do it for this week. Follow us again at Baseball Frank, Twitter and Instagram. Follow my co-host Frank at 2B Frank M on Twitter and Instagram. And follow the podcast at Let's Be Frank Pod, pretty much on everything now. So, that's going to do it for this week. You guys are the franchise. I'm Frank. The other Frank's probably asleep right now. But we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.